Trump DC shooting, CIA exposed. You ready to hear it? Let's go. There's going to be 3 things you need to know, and then about 3 bombshells. Listen to this whole video. You're going to feel 1,000% better as a leftist, and you're also going to understand what his next plan is, because he's got some secret ugly shit coming up. Pay attention. So first of all, yes, this DC person went through the DC area and shot 2 National Guards. National Guards. Now I want you to think about what I just said. He shot National Guards. Then afterwards, of course, the right does what they always done, what they've been doing all year, which is when something happens, somehow it has to be the left's fault. Let's blame the left regardless. But there's a problem. Yes, he used to work with the CIA, the shooter. And yes, he applied to be in the country. But of course, in April, during the Trump administration, they're the ones that vetted him in and passed him in to be a citizen, allowed in the country, basically. These people were working so hard to get rid of people who were coming in the country, they let this guy in. Really interesting. And then immediately, CIA does something they never, ever do. Ever. They admit it. They say, he has a badge. He's part of the CIA. Pay attention to what I'm saying here. I got some bombshells to drop on you. Now, they admit it. They admit it. I want you to pay attention to this. They admitted it. So you got a guy who shot, who got in through the Trump administration. 1. 2, CIA admitted it. Here's where it gets interesting. Out of all the people they shot, all the people, they sent troops to every city, right? They've sent both reserve Marines, National Guards in some cases, and always ICE people. And everybody hates ICE. But the one group you shot at was National Guard. Isn't that interesting? I mean, I'm here in Chicago. That would have never happened in Chicago, in New York, in LA, in Portland, in Memphis, in South Carolina. Nowhere that would have happened. North Carolina, nowhere that would have happened. But in Washington, D.C., with a CIA operative that they openly admit is a CIA operative to National Guards people. Now think about that. That's really, really interesting. Why National Guards people? Well, here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to start dropping bombshells throughout the rest of this video, so you listen to everything I'm telling you. Let me get nice and comfortable and get straight up here with you. All right, so bombshell number 1. The obvious is in our face. This was too damn easy. So the first scenario could be that he basically was upset, didn't like the way America was treating, immigrants. He just went off and he just shot somebody. That's scenario 1. But if he didn't like the way Americans were treating immigrants, or very upset by that, why National Guard? Nobody's attacked them for 2 reasons. 1, ain't their fault. They've been called to be there. Whereas ICE is a bunch of assholes. He didn't take the ICE people. He took these people. Number 2, we all know that if he does that, Trump now has his validation, he thinks, to send in more troops, which they did, 500 more. They're going to, and on top of that, he's now checking out the green cards of everybody from 19 different countries, of course, including Afghanistan. He won't do that anyway. Then it gets interesting when you think what his next chess move is. Even though you don't play chess, Trump plays checkers. The next chess move of this is, or checkers move of this, is to make this shit happen again a couple of more times. Because if this happens a couple of more times, he can send it to every city, any city he wish. It gets better. Well, better in a worse way. Not only is he going to do this again, Not only is he going after this again, but let me break down some more game to you on this, because there's some insider stuff happening. I told you, they're bombshells, and I've dropped a few, but the real bombshell is this. There's an inner war I've talked about for the last 11 months that's been going on between the intelligence community and the White House. And I mean between both of them. Why would the intelligence community be mad at the White House? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the thousands of NSA, CIA, FBI people they fired, as well as 3-letter government departments you don't even know of. They're in the intelligence community. They feel attacked. The last president that did that was JFK. You piecing this together? It gets, I don't want to say better, but it gets more interesting as I go into this. The CIA immediately admit, yeah, it was us. Now, that could be two scenarios. That could be them admitting it so they're not really making that a big deal that it was a cover-up, because they know if they try to cover it up in this environment, then somebody's going to find out it's going to be out there. Or it could be them saying, yeah, we did it, so they could fuck over Trump. Because in his press conference today, somebody asked him, he said, wait a minute, this is all tied into the Trump administration who let him in, and Trump just lashed out at the reporter. You're wrong, you're stupid, you're dumb, it's factless. Your mama, I mean, he called him everything but Miss Piggy this time. I mean, or Little Piggy. I mean, what the? You know, he's freaking out because he knows damn well he's caught. He's caught. Could it be that they radicalized this person to go out and shoot National Guard so that they have the right to put National Guards out across the country? Kind of start a mini insurrection without starting it? Here's the thing, I still stick to the belief that they're not going to do insurrection because it's going to weaken him and they'll ask for his seat. They'll put him out. I've said that for the last, 9 months since March, and it's been absolutely true. But this gets even more interesting when you watch this scenario, because this civil war I'm talking about in the intelligence community, they've been gathering information to get Trump's ass for a minute. Oh, yeah. See, there's people who are working independently, retired, they took them out or they're retired. People who've been working within the community of the private sector, being funded by very wealthy people. Remember, there's 900 billionaires in America and 22 million millionaires, and not everybody likes Trump. You think they're all on his side. The rich is on his side. No, there's a civil war there going on. I mean, Reid Hoffman's a billionaire, and he's getting attacked by Trump. Cuban's been getting attacked by Trump forever, and a whole host of other billionaires and millionaires who want this guy out. It's not all, they don't all love him. You know, some have given money to him but don't like him. Some have given money to him and they begging him out of New York not to fuck with Mamdani, because Mamdani can fuck up everybody's money. He got his thing on the post to mess up New York Financial Center. So let me throw some more bombshells with you. You still hanging in there with me? Let me throw some more ones at you. Okay, so Trump's situation, he's trying to get people out to all these cities, and the intelligence community pretty much stepped on their own tongue and put it out there that he had a badge, or maybe they're trying to put it out in front, or they were trying to fuck up Trump, right? Got that scenario. Here's another very interesting scenario about that. They have put out, they mean CIA, NSA, whatever, they have thousands of this type of person that are out there. And they can activate them at any moment. The other thing is that CIA is very smart about doing certain things. They wouldn't do this unless there was an advantage point. On one side, it's a disadvantage to the president because he looks foolish, and they got him at a time when he's very weak. And on the downturn, on the way out. But then there's another in there scenario that goes out there too. The more the market is afraid, listen to me now, I'm talking money. The more the market is afraid, the more it pulls down stocks again. Don't laugh at Bitcoin. I'm talking as an entrepreneur, 20 years, marketing branding for 30 years. Don't be laughing at Bitcoin. They laughed when Bitcoin went down last time. It went up to 60, then it went down to 30 or something like that. It went down. They would say, oh, it's going to 30. What about that Bitcoin? Then it went up to 100. It goes down and up. I discovered this years ago. They used to lie. All of these main people get up here and talk like Mad Money Kramer and all of the other ones. They got up there and said stupid shit. They got up there and said Netflix is going to go down because now Disney and Paramount is there. I'm like, how does that work? Netflix is the largest. They got 250 million, 260 million subscribers. Yeah, their numbers might go dip a little bit. But when I say dip, I'm talking about 2-5%. They lost maybe 2-5 million subscribers. That 2 million to 5 million subscribers, they lose no money. But everybody's talking to pull the market down. Follow me, follow me, follow me. Everybody's talking to pull the market down. The market go down, everybody get their money. That's what he's been doing with the tariffs, y'all. He's been doing the tariffs to lower the price so people can buy in and get a bag. His own son, Barron, has suspected made tens of millions, maybe even over 100 million off of buying and selling Bitcoin. Because he knew when the price was going to drop. So did his friends. Why you think he out of school? He in that new school. The school of hard grifts from the master, his father. You know, Donald is the new Fred Trump. He's teaching his son. Here's the other thing I want you to pay attention to. If they're doing all this stuff and it brings the market down, who benefits? Who benefits? Obviously Trump and them, duh. But who else benefits? The people tied in the closest to make the early bets. Who's that? Congress. This is something you'll never hear from anybody else. Congress. Congress been making bets, and we've been discovering this over the last 5 years. They've been making bets closely tied to legislation. Why would Trump try to do a favor for Congress? Why? Because he's losing grip. They're bucking back. They're taking it away. They're taking him and they're taking it away and taking it down. But it gets even bigger. You ready for this? Okay, so it may be a market manipulation. It may be manipulation for the troops to come into every blue city and gives them an excuse. Here's the big thing I haven't said. And if if you've been around me for a while, you'll know this. This is a manipulation effect to pull away from Epstein, gerrymandering, and no kings, especially the Epstein. We know in less than 20 days or something they're supposed to be releasing the list. But what's hot on the presses right now? What's super hot? This shooting. The more he can turn this or try to turn the attention to this, the better. The only bad part is that I believe that the intelligence community on purpose tried to overstep Trump, put the truth out, and he's furious over the truth, which is the CIA the guy was a CIA asset, and the Trump administration brought him in. He's trying to blame it on everything, DEI or whatever. But the truth is, it ain't DEI, it's DUMB, your administration, that pulled this shit together. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, are there going to be more troops in cities? He's going to try. He's been losing in every lower court, which is 99% of the cases that are in lower court. You can't send everything up to the Supreme Court because he's already overwhelmed. There's 500 to 700 cases, almost close to 700 cases out there. He can't do it. What about the scenario with the stock market? Will they find that out? There's so much grifting going on with Trump. There will be somebody speaking about this, but it's probably so internally cliquish. The question becomes, Which one of the ones who don't want to go to jail is going to turn somebody in? Put another way, I've said that 70%, I believe, that 70% of this cabinet is going to jail because the other 30% is turning state's evidence to turn them in. So could that flush out? Yeah, it could. But right now, it's a market manipulation. Because if you have more of these shootings, if you have more troops on the streets, it lowers the price or it affects the price fluctuations. It also gives an excuse for him to try to make more policies, if you want to, that or executive orders, if that makes sense. And then the final part of this is, ooh, look at this. What Epstein? What Epstein? He thinks he's somehow going to escape through it. But of course, it makes sense. He's got to be that delusional. He's got to think that the more drama he can bring, the more it happens, the more he can get you to ignore what's going on. Because this is what Trump does. He lies, he misdirects, and then what does he do? He comes in and messes with people's cognitive skills, because he knows that people on the left, just as much as the right, are brainwashed, but not the same way. On the left, what we have a problem with is the history, operation, and laws of our government. So we think the stuff he's getting away with instead of getting a weight with. In other words, wait, because they're going to get that ass. And the Epstein shit could take him out early and then make him susceptible to any state charges if they find him with some minors in the Epstein. And if he redacts the files, that makes it even worse and more pressure on him, because somebody got the files, both on left and right. They got the files already. And they're going to leak it. Somebody's going to leak it in a way where they can't be found, or it's going to take them a long time to find it. In the meanwhile, unofficially, the victims' attorneys are going to kind of head nod on it. And they're going to say something, or they may have their victims say something indirectly, but you can't do nothing to the victims for saying something, you know. And they're going to say something. Now, in the meanwhile, back to this shooting, they're trying to redirect it on the left. It's not working. It's not working, and he's super mad. And I think the intelligence community did it, and I got you on it. Because maybe they had somebody in intelligence who went off and radicalized this guy to go off and snap, and then all of a sudden come back and say, yeah, these Islams are doing it, so they can do the Islamophobe thing, they can do the green card thing, and they can pull more people and just violate the shit out their rights. Because here's what doesn't sound right. There's just some things that don't connect. Out of all the people, whether it be the reserve troops like Marines or National Guard or ICE or the regular police, who's the most likely that an immigrant would shoot? ICE. If they had said they shot ICE, I said, okay, it's the same scenario, but it was coming because ICE caused that shit. But they shot the National Guard. Well, he wouldn't know the difference between the two. Bullshit. That man is a vetted CIA agent with a badge, according to the CIA. So that guy knows the difference. Plus, he worked with the CIA in the Afghan war. He knows what they look like. He knows what the National Guard versus ICE look like. No, this was something where they pulled the trigger on him. Maybe they threatened to send his family out. Maybe they threatened to hurt his family somewhere, wherever his family is. It could be all sorts of things. And when that shit happened, and the head of the CIA or key CIA people, operatives, knew what was going on, they said, fuck it, what we gonna do is we're going to tell everybody it was us. So it makes Trump look bad. Now, here's another scenario for you, and this is a bombshell too. I'm gonna drop the final bombshell. And it sounds rough. I explained weeks earlier when the Dems caved, I said, do you know what's coming out of D.C. to me? That those 8 Dems caved, not for money, they were already millionaires. They caved so they could get a better lead in the Congress and get a greater majority in the Congress, because they knew the Republicans weren't going to honor the subsidy benefits, and it would give them a better argument. Now, the fucked up part about that is that if they double the subsidies or take anything even worse away, we're talking about 4 million people will go without, of those 20 million, go without subsidies, and 50,000 people could die that year. They said, fuck it, we're going to bleed out these people. just like they bleed out this group. Let's go to the CIA. You think the CIA could be just as cruel? Of course they could. They have plenty of examples of doing crazy shit. So here's a scenario where the CIA did this shit on purpose to radicalize it. So they could know this could be a stab at Trump's doom. So they actively knew it from the highest levels. See, the other scenario, it might have been some clandestine people tied in with Trump to do this shit. And then the good CIA came in and said, fuck it, we just gonna put it out there and fuck up Trump. But what if it was the top people who started from go? Because it makes no sense for him to shoot National Guard. It makes no sense for him to go after these people like this. It just doesn't click together. There's some shit in the game. And Trump is going to try to take advantage of this by sending more troops to different cities. This could be more shootings because, as I said earlier, there's thousands of people in this position who work for the CIA, who may not have jobs now. That'll make it even worse. But they could radicalize them as well. They got CIA badges, and they're unofficial assets of the CIA. When have you ever known the CIA to just come out and say something? Never. They never, ever say something. They was spitting stuff like it was 48 hours TV show. Y'all know when the black dudes be in the room with the officer, and officers don't have jack, but they just tell on themselves. They sitting there, yeah, I know they did that. I did it. Yeah, I did it. I did it. And then you always have that translator come in. What Jamarius is saying is he has shot all them people, sort of allegedly done that. Or the ones who sit there and say, I didn't do it, but them boys over there did it. What Jamarius is saying is that he did not do what they said they did, but he knows through the proper snitching who actually did it. This is, CIA don't just open up about shit, especially not in the Trump administration. There's a civil war going on. I've talked about that for the last 11 months. Also, it's either a case of the Trump having people in the CIA to set this up, or the CIA setting it up themselves from the highest level. If it's the Civil War part, they're telling on their own self to hurt Trump. If it's not that, then it's the CIA setting it up at the highest level and immediately admitting it, so they can, say, hey, listen, we made a mistake, and they're not looking into their business too much, but at the same time, it's hurting Trump. Game is on. Expect more shootings. If I'm right, expect more shootings and everything to go down. Hopefully I'm wrong. I hope to be wrong on this one. But if there's more shootings going down and they're attacking not ICE, but National Guards, that's too obvious. Check out my next video.